Jansen Harris, I am back with Horace Mcclarin III. This time we're talking Braves and what happened. They unexpectedly lost to the St. Louis Cardinals 13-1 on their home field, SunTrust Park. I know we spoke about this off air, Horace, about the pitching situation. I want to touch on that first. Dallas Keuchel, 2 starts. Fultonevich, 2 starts. Soroka, 1 start. Max Fried, who led the league or tied with the league for most wins, did not start. What is your opinion on this? I know you weren't happy about it. Why was this?
For a long time, we can talk about 14 straight division wins, one World Series. We can all talk about that. But this purely comes down to managing in the playoffs. To me, you have to trust what's been going on throughout the season. You have to just trust that. There's a reason why Max Fried had 17 wins this year. There's a reason why Soroka wasn't your only all-star pitcher. There's a reason for these things. There's a reason why Fultonevich didn't even start the season with the Braves and got sent down. So when you look at it that way, you say, I'm going to have the 2 guys that were not with the team the whole season gets more starts than the 2 guys that was with the team the whole season that was actually the foundation of the whole season, because without Soroka and without Fried, we couldn't wait around for Donaldson to get hot. We couldn't wait around for Acuna to be moved to the top of the lineup and he got hot. They held it down. You didn't trust it. I don't understand it. Fried didn't even get a start. It was pathetic as far as I'm concerned, managing in the playoff, and we need to kind of look at that.
Okay, going into maybe I'm a little premature on this, but I'm taking this serious, and so is other Braves fans. Brian Snitker, is he the guy that's going to get this team over the hump? People love Alex Anthopoulos. They did a great job. But is Brian Snitker that manager who's going to help them get to the next step, the NLCS, and then past that to the World Series? Can he be that guy? Are they going to need to make a manager change? I know they won't, obviously, for next season, but if we see another loss in the NLDS, is it time to move on?
Man, this is an emotional situation in time. Obviously, Snick comes from the Bobby Cox tree, and we've seen Bobby Cox do a whole lot of things with the Braves, even get to the World Series a couple of times, and we just couldn't pull it through but one time. So I would even say that Bobby Cox has gotten us further than this Snick era at this particular point. But I think the game has changed so much to where you have to know how to manage in the playoffs. So I will hold and reserve my Snick comment to say I just hope that we learn from this, because it's been a long, long time since we've had a team with young players, young talent. You want to see who they're going to sign for next year, what the pitching situation is going to be. Are they going to offer Donaldson some money? What happens to Austin Riley? Things of that nature. But at the same time, you also want to say, is there a coach, Joe Girardi, is there a manager out there that has the experience that can manage in the playoffs? And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, cool. Quickly, what happened 3 through 5 in this lineup, hitting under 200? I don't want to call him out. Freddie Freeman, though, 4 for 20? Does this affect his legacy? Was this a legacy game for him, defining series?
Not only 4 for 20, after the home run in game 1, he was 0 for 12, 1 walk, left 9 men on base. That's a telling stat. Another stat was 2 blunders in the field, something that you never expect Freddie Freeman to do. It's a lot of blunders in Atlanta history, a lot of things that we can point to. This may not hurt him, but it definitely signifies that as the leader of this team, you were not able to come through. Batters 3 through 5 batting under 200. Freddie Freeman left men on base. Freddie Freeman caused the error that led to 10 runs in the first inning in Game 5. It's a lot to be said, and a lot of people has been singing his praises as the most underrated player in baseball this year. Probably came to a head in the playoffs. Was he really hurt? Did the injury play a big part in his play during the playoffs? So we got to look at it.
Is that a valid excuse? Are you buying it? Do you like when guys come out afterwards and say it and say they were hurt but they played so they didn't look soft?
The media loves it because it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
So the media loves it. But listen, if you can play hurt, but if you injured, that's a whole nother thing. So I hope he was just hurt and just had a bad series.
Okay, before we wrap things up, to me, horrible loss. That was a debacle. Part of the Atlanta choking, losing 13-1, 10 runs in the first inning at home. To me, home field advantage does matter. Pathetic loss by the Braves. Very disappointing end to the season. Has questions popping up in my head if this team actually could get past the NLDS. I don't know at this point, but there was something else that also happened that people are like, wow, you had to take a glass off to watch that one. Like, the Dodgers are out? They lost to Washington. The Dodgers. This was supposed to be easy for them. This was after game one. People say, oh, this is what the Dodgers do. Cruise control. They're going to win this series. What the heck happened? And what was worse? The Dodgers debacle or the Braves?
Whew, boy, I tell you, we can probably put them hand in hand. Because if you go back to the Dodgers' history, the last 7 years, no World Series. They lost 2 World Series and lost 5 playoff games before they even got into the World Series. And one of the biggest issues, the $30 million guy that you're paying, Clayton Kershaw, who has been magnificent in the regular season.
Absolutely.
Postseason, horrible. 9-11 in the postseason, 4.3 earned run average, and has given up 24 home runs in his career in the postseason. So you say which one is worse? If you're paying $32 million to this guy and he was 16-5 during the season, and the way that you go out and lose this year on back-to-back pitches to Rendon and Soto to end your season, that may be a little more emotional, but the Braves are not far behind, giving up 10 runs in the first inning and 13 runs. Hey, man, listen, they almost lost by 2 touchdowns at home. At home. So I think if Atlanta, you would say Atlanta probably had the biggest debacle for the Major League playoff season. If you're on the West Coast, you're probably saying L.A. Either way, both was horrible.
Either way, both are going home. St. Louis Cardinals and Washington Nationals. Neither of these teams we thought would get to this point, but one of them will be in the World Series. Jansen Harris here with Horace Mcclarin III. Got to make sure. I don't know why I keep getting twisted up on the McLaren in the third part.
Think about the car.
Yeah, got to think about the car. You riding fancy. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Hawks, what we think about their preseason so far, even though they have no wins, and how some of their rookies are playing.